Hey, I'm using a throwaway because I'm feeling a bit ashamed of what happened to me. I, 17M, was hanging out with two black friends of mine yesterday. I was offering weed for everyone and I needed to roll it into a joint. While I was starting to roll, my friends were talking about a lot of stuff, and one of our discussion's subjects was about me hooking up with a girl in a staircase a day before. It was my first time and was how I lost my virginity, and my friends were ego-boosting me a lot for it. I must also say that I was close to those two friends. One of them, the closer one, lives 10 minutes away and we naturally hang out and smoke a lot. The other I talk to on Discord a lot and play games with. While we were talking, one of them said something like this: "I'm not a thrice-the N-word like you," and I said I ain't a thrice-the N-word. I hadn't realized that I just repeated his sentence with the N-word in it. Then I immediately realized my error and said I was sorry to my two friends. They were very angry, which I understand totally, but the one I was the most close to wanted to give me a punch in the stomach really hard to make me pay for saying that. I must say that I'm not a physically capable guy, and I'm not used to taking punches at all, and I knew that a punch to the stomach could really mess me up badly. I tried negotiating not getting hit there and maybe getting hit somewhere else like on the arm, but I couldn't and I was getting intimidated and running out of time. That friend was even counting all the way to 10 and trying to hold me so the other could punch too. I didn't have a choice but to comply and ask them to not hold me because I'm not an animal that had to be held. I let him punch me in the guts. The pain was unbearable, and I was coughing and I wanted to puke. Then the other guy also wanted to get a punch in. In my head at that moment I just wanted to get done with it because I made an error. I understood that I shouldn't have said that word and I thought that my friends would just punch me and forget about this incident right after and we could all go back to smoking and having fun like we were just before that. So I agreed for the second guy to punch me in the guts too, but simultaneously, my closer friend was convincing the other guy to punch as hard as he can to again make me pay for that. I felt betrayed. The guy I used to smoke with, drink with, talk to about the girls we had hooked up with is now convincing and yelling at my other friend to punch me as hard as he could. The guy punched me so hard I went backwards and couldn't breathe anymore. I fell on the floor having that immense pain, feeling like someone had stabbed me. I was there, on the floor, unable to breathe and thinking about how my life was being dogshit for the past weeks. That moment was only a couple of seconds, but it felt like minutes. And my close friend was still yelling at me, telling me that I deserved it and that I got taught a lesson. When I got my breath back, I went back up and asked them politely to forget about that incident and just to continue hanging out and to smoke that joint I was rolling and have fun. They said they agreed, that they wouldn't think about it anymore. When we started smoking, my close friend was insulting the girl that took my virginity, calling her basically trash or a hoe for accepting so easily to hook up with me in that staircase. My own friend, the guy I was giving weed to, the one I invited to hang out, the one I hung out with and laughed with, was insulting the girl I liked, and insulting me in the process. I was having a bad night, I was high on weed and my own friend was insulting me non-stop. The other guy on the other side was kinda neutral. He wasn't talking about anything and stayed mostly silent when it came to talking about me or to me. I must say that I am North African, my skin is white but I am not European, and I lived in my home country in Africa for most of my life. I'm even from the native people of North Africa called the Amazigh. I naturally hang out with the people that understand my culture the best, and I therefore hang out with a lot of black people. To my knowledge I have no racism towards them, and the fact that I said the N-word was not racially motivated. I don't know what to think about this. I feel betrayed, hurt and ashamed. I felt alone. My mother had died less than a week ago and I was going through all this. I lost all my trust in that friend, and I don't know if I'm going to stay friends with him. I just needed to talk about it. I'm sorry if this post offends anyone. Title pretty much sums it up. I always knew my mother was neglectful as far back as I can remember. Probably 4 years old is the clearest memory. She suffered from major depression and all my grade school young childhood memories involve making my own lunch, doing my own laundry, heating up frozen dinners in the microwave and begging my mom to play with me while she laid in her room for seemingly months on end. Dad was an abusive absent workaholic, now dead. There were times that she showed interest in me, but they were sparing and didn't last. Anyway, I struggled with self-esteem, self-worth etc. Growing up, I was an easy target for bullies and I got in a lot of trouble in my teen years acting out because I just despised myself. This led my mom to label me a problem and/or bad child. Thank God I had an older sister in the house until I was 12 that helped me with basic needs. Anyway, fast forward therapy, more therapy. I fixed my life and self-worth issues, am married to a wonderful husband and have the best toddler in the whole world. He is my life. I also have a really successful career, but I have days I just feel flat and still suffer from imposter syndrome, like I don't really deserve my good life now. My mom and I still speak and she has apologized to most of the neglect, but the other day I was on the phone with her and my toddler was saying mama, mama, mama and started crying at one point, so I said I needed to end the call to attend to his needs. She said, and I quote, "Just ignore him, that is what I did with you kids." People used to comment on how I would always ignore you kids crying out for help, but I couldn't take all the mom, so I just tuned you out and ignored you, and because of this you were independent and strong. Like WTTTTTTTTF. My son is 14 months old. For context, he had a legitimate need. He was hungry, it turned out. I asked my mom if she did this when I was a toddler, infant, and she said yes proudly. As a mother I cannot fathom any of this. So cruel. As a daughter I now understand why despite all the work I have done on myself I still feel empty and unlovable most of the time. It just hurt to hear that the neglect went back to when I was literally a helpless infant. I feel like it is scorched into the fabric of my being. I will be better, and I will do better for my son. Just had to get this off my chest. I swear to God this was an accident. My wife bought a bar of soap that looked somewhat nice about a year ago. It stayed in our shower for months and never seemed to be getting smaller. About 6 months ago my soap bar ran out and I decided to use her fancy bar. It never seemed to get smaller, so I figured it was just there, a show soap or something. To be looked at but never touched. I decided that bar of soap was now my ballsack and ass cleaner. For months I used this poor bar to clean the sweat and grime off my unspeakables. I was happy. But it all came crashing down today. I was brushing my teeth and I saw that same soap bar being lathered all over my wife's face. I felt like vomiting but had to hide it fast. I gave her a lame thumbs up and smiled. She probably thought I was a dumbass. Anyways, I will take this to my grave because my wife would murder me if she ever found out. Hopefully it stays that way. Today I was at the gym and I was using the machine where you push the weighted board with your feet to exercise your legs. While I was doing it, this really good-looking guy came over and asked if he could use the machine next to me, social distancing and all that. I said it was fine with me and he smiled at me. Then about a minute later, when I pushed up on the weight with my legs, I accidentally let out a huge loud fart. I know the guy heard it even though he didn't say anything or bring attention to it. It would have been impossible not to hear it and he wasn't wearing headphones. As the title says. Inspired by another post I saw, I worked at J.C.Penney's until I figured out they lied and I wasn't a year-round and I was seasonal. So fuck them, I'll let all of you know. You can force a discount on items, you don't always need a coupon. Either through the plain % off or $1 off button or the custom rupees button. So if you wanna be a real hassle and get a discount, bring it up or just act upset. But to the story, one time this lady came in buying what I assume must have been over 200 sets of baby clothes from our clearance section, must have been the whole section actually. And I start scanning and she says she's donating these to a charity in the Philippines so she'll be shipping these. And I'm thinking. So there's no way she'll return these, why not just not scan a few and let her get a lower total for her good deed? So I do just that. I scanned about maybe 150 out of the 200. Easy to distract them with conversation if you're working with your hands and making eye contact. Sneaky stuff. But when I'm finished her total is around $330. When each of the sets were marked down to $2 or $3. But that's not good enough for me. So I legit do the over-the-shoulder check and force a 30% off because any more requires a supervisor clearance. Forget how much her end total was, didn't tell her what I did because she looked the type to make me scan every item, real honest woman. But fuck JCP, worst job I've ever had to hold. and P.S cashiers aren't allowed to mention coupons, so always ask when you get to the registers. It's whack. When I sit they droop down a lot. They look deflated and it's horrible. I took a pic today of them and couldn't believe they're a lot worse than I thought. I'm only 27 and have never been pregnant. I don't have not one kid to look like this. Mind you, I work out and go to the gym. I can't afford plastic surgery and it's difficult to save for it because I have bills to pay. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life because I highly seriously doubt anyone I'm attracted to will find me attractive. I'd what to do. I'm at a loss. Had to turn off my DMs because of creeps. Stop asking to see my boobs. I'm insecure equals I'm not posting them. Please stop. Edit, forgot to mention I'm completely gay. I'm into girls. Edit 2, I'm not getting a reduction. I'm satisfied with the size, it's the droppiness I can't stand.